Welcome to 5 Good Minutes. You're listening to today's inspirational message, looking at the Messianic Psalms with Kurt Bjorklund.
Psalm 41 seems as if it's almost off topic, although most people consider Psalm 40, 41 together. And the reason I say it seems off topic, and maybe this is why it feels like a different psalm to many, and is a different psalm, is because it says, "Blessed are those who have regard for the weak. The Lord delivers them in times of trouble. The Lord protects and preserves them. They are counted among the blessed in the land. He does not give them over to the desire of their foes. The Lord sustains them on their sickbed and restores them from their bed of illness." Now, the reason I say that this seems askew is we've been talking about the messianic quality of Psalm 40, 41, and how it points ahead. And you may say, well, this is just a simple statement of blessing. If you take care of the weak, God takes care of you. If you're generous with your spirit toward others, then God is generous. Here's how I believe this ties in, and that is David is saying that when we show kindness and generosity to the poor, to the weak, that there's a blessing. But why do we show kindness and generosity to the poor or the weak? I would suggest that the reason we do this is because we see ourselves as also poor and weak. And when we see ourselves as superior and strong and rich or whatever it is, then sometimes we get annoyed with the weak. But when we are weak, all of a sudden, we feel a different kind of empathy for those. And this is why this ties right into the Messianic Psalm. But notice here, there's a blessedness, because when we can empathize with others who are weak and poor, it shows that we actually understand our true spiritual condition, our true need. I was thinking about this, and I had pulled into a parking lot the other day, and there was a car in front of me, and this guy pulls into this handicap space, and he pops up a handicap kind of placard on his thing, and he gets out of his car, clearly not handicapped, and he walks into the establishment. And I parked a little farther out, and I saw this whole thing happen, and I got a little annoyed. And I remember for a moment that in a lot of ways, I don't know that would have annoyed me years ago. And one of the reasons it annoys me is I actually went through a little season a couple years ago where I'd had an accident and I couldn't walk, and I needed whatever assistance I could get. And it has given me a new appreciation for people who cannot walk, because I understand now what it's like to not have facility of my legs. And my shaping of my thinking, the way my thinking has changed, is that when I see somebody who is without the function of their legs, I feel empathy. But I also feel a sense of indignation when I see somebody using a handicap space who doesn't need it. And here's my simple point. Not that God is pleased with my indignation. Might be one of the sins of my own soul that ends up needing to go to Jesus. But what I'm saying is this, is the more that you have experienced your own brokenness, the more you will be empathic to other people's brokenness. And the more pride that you have, the less you'll be empathic. Now, I'm not suggesting that there isn't a time to hold a standard. Sometimes people will be broken. You'll extend mercy to them. You'll be empathetic to them. You'll try to help them. And then they'll start to feel entitled, and they'll presume on empathy or grace instead of change. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the knee-jerk reaction of saying, I see the hurt in other people, and I don't feel anything other than desire for them to be made whole, because that indicates our own deep need. What do you do when you see the weakness, spiritual weakness of others? Do you judge it? Do you sit in superiority and say, God, I thank you that I'm not like that? Or do you identify with it and see yourself in that weakness?
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.